Hey, Lara here. Today I'm going to teach you Hip Series 1 and Tensegrity Series. So let's come onto the back. You need a block. Hands come behind thighs, come down slowly. Walk the feet towards you. Start by hugging the legs, hands to shins. Rock side to side. Squeeze the legs, spread your toes. Then pubic bone lengthening away from you. Make some circles. Change direction with your circles. And side to side. Come to center, bring your left foot to the ground, interlace over right shin. Right thumb and forefinger on top. Think about pulling the upper arm bones toward their sockets. Lengthen pubic bone away from you. Take right hip bone farther away from right armpit. Pull left femur bone closer to floor. Maybe left leg straightens, maybe it stays where it is. If you straighten, you're dragging your heel towards you. If the foot is on the ground, you're dragging the heel towards you. Same concept. Five more breaths. Think about pulling the femurs into the pelvis. Think about finding the outer trochanter's. Kind of where your butt and your thigh meet. Contract. And then left knee bending, release your hands. Bring your right ankle to your left knee. Right foot flexed. Fingers on hip bones equal distance from the floor. Pulling left femur to floor. Lengthening right inner groin away from you. You don't want to overdo that. You're trying to have those hip bones equal distance from floor. You're not just taking the right hip as far away as you can. Lengthening inner groin to inner knee. Drawing outer knee back into outer hip, pulling those femurs in, finding the outer trochanter's. If you need less, you walk the left foot farther. If you need more, you walk it closer. You can put a block under your foot. But only really is that relevant if the heel is quite close to the buttocks, otherwise it's difficult to place a block. Last option is to bind. Shoulders don't lift here. If they do, you go up back one stage for now. Pulling, pushing, breathing. Five more breaths. And then left foot back to the ground. Draw the right knee towards you, reach your right heel up towards the ceiling. Let's go hands behind thigh. Left leg stays bent unless you can find a neutral pelvis. If it's very comfortable, then the opposite leg can straighten. Pointing and flexing. And remember, anywhere I use the hands, you can use a strap instead. And circles. Go the other direction. Flexing, curling, pointing, flipping, flexing, curling, pointing, flipping, flexing. Palms push into ground, lower right heel, point your toes to lift. Lower right heel, point your toes to lift. One more. Good. And then bending left knee. If you straighten, crossing right leg over left, squeezing the legs together. Thinking hips equal distance from shoulders and floor. Pull those femurs into the pelvis. Find the outer trochanter's. Leave the left foot where it is for the same amount. Walk it farther away for less, or walk it closer for more. You can lift your heel. You can add a block under the foot. You can bind. Pull shoulders toward floor as you take the thighs away from you. Active feet, spread toes. Thighs squeeze together, thighs pull apart. And then left foot to the floor. Uncrossing, open up the knee if you feel it. Feet at hips distance, draw the left knee to you. Fingers interlace, left thumb and forefinger on top over shin, press shin into hands, equally draw down on shin. Think left hip bone farther away from left armpit. Pull the right femur closer to the floor. Pubic bone is still lengthening. If you need more, the right leg straightens. You're thinking active heel or active foot. Calf lifting toward the ceiling, thigh toward the floor. And right knee bending, releasing hands, open up knee, bring ankle to knee, foot flexed, hip bones equal distance from shoulders and floor. If you need more, you walk it closer. You can add a block, you can lift the heel, you're still lengthening the inner groin, maybe you bind. All of these variations aren't good. It depends on how your body feels and whether you can maintain a neutral pelvis or not. Concentrate on your breathing. Pull those femurs in, find the trochanters, lengthen pubic bone from navel. Upper arm bones, draw them in, broaden the collarbones, broaden the scapula or the shoulder blades. And right foot to the floor, releasing hands, draw left knee to you, reach that heel towards the ceiling, hands behind thigh, and you can straighten and bend a few times, that's great. And then straightening to hold. Think about pulling the femurs into their hip sockets, particularly right hip closer to right armpit, left hip farther from left armpit. If you need more, you can straighten the leg, pointing and flexing. Good. And circles. Go the other way. Then flex, curl, point, flip, flex, curl, point, flip. Good. Flex, release your hands, lower that left heel, point your toes to lift. Lower the heel or the leg, point to lift. Then bring the leg up, flex the foot, bend right knee if it's straight. Cross left leg tightly over right. I like to pull the flesh of the calf towards me a little bit. Think hip bones equal distance from shoulders and floor. Pubic bone still lengthening. Shoulder heads to the floor. If you need more, you walk the foot closer. If you need less, you walk it farther away. You can lift your heel, you can have your foot on a block, you can bind behind thighs with strapper hands. Active toes, thighs squeeze together, thighs pull apart, femurs pull toward floor. Humerus bones, upper arm bones pull towards floor and apart. And right foot to the floor, uncrossing. Straighten the legs for a moment. Straighten the arms, just noticing what that feels like. And then go ahead and bend your knees. Now you need your block. You're going to want it on the lowest height, feet as wide as hips. You're going to push into your feet. Slide the block underneath your pelvis. You want to feel like it's very comfortable and supportive for the pelvis. It doesn't feel like it's cutting into your lower back. And it feels like you're not going to fall off the edge of the block. And the best way to test it out, place it where you think is most comfortable, pick up one foot, pick up the other, and then check it out. Does it feel like you're going to fall off the block? Does it feel like it's cutting into your lower back? If so, move it slightly higher, slightly lower, experimenting until you can find just the perfect, most supportive position. Now, if it causes you pain to have the block underneath your pelvis, then you do it without. You certainly don't have to use the block. It just makes it more difficult for the abdominals. And it helps us to find our shoulders more effectively. It makes finding the shoulders a little bit easier. Press into your palms, shoulders and fingers. If you are finding your hands are lifting or your shoulders are lifting, then you take your hands wider. This will make it much easier to press into those areas. You do not want to have your hands lifting, your wrists lifting, or your shoulders lifting. This is not good for your body. It'll hurt you over time. So better to find shoulders and palms equally. If they can press down, then you can bring them closer. Otherwise, hands are off your mat for support. Now you have two options. You can work with shins parallel to floor, like so. Right leg lowers, left leg stays still. Left leg lowers, right leg stays still. So this is a great option. And this often will be quite difficult. And if it's sufficiently difficult, you keep going there. If you have, it's pretty comfortable to straighten your legs here, there's no pull, there's no shake, then you can do a straight leg. And it will be a bit harder. Right leg lowering, left leg stays still, left leg lowering, right leg stays still. And we just continue at a pace that suits us. The slower you go, the more you will gain benefit here. As you lower one leg, the opposite leg stays completely still, or as still as you can manage. The upper body remains still. If the shoulders lift, the palms lift, then you either press more firmly into those areas to keep them still, or you reduce the range of motion. You do not have to bring your legs as far as you can. You simply go as far as is available while still controlling the upper body. You're drawing the abdomen in and up. You're drawing the ribs towards the floor. And believe it or not, eventually this work will become very easy, and then you can work on another version that's harder. When it's difficult, you start to get fatigue in the lower back, then you rest. And you can rest. I'm going to do 3 more with each leg here. But when you need to rest, you have several options. You can either bend your knees and bring your feet to the floor. You can bend your knees and hover your feet, and I'll show you what that looks like in just a moment. Just one more with right leg, one more with left leg. And then options for rest are legs straight hovering, knees bent hovering, or one foot and then the other to the floor resting. If you like, you can flip the block higher for your rest. Let's take 5 more breaths resting. Good, and then lift up, come down, lift up, come down, lift up, flip your block to the low height. Test it out, make sure it's comfortable. Lift one foot, lift the other foot. Either shins parallel to floor, this time legs squeeze together. Shoulders and palms to the ground. Take the thighs away from you, take the thighs towards you. Thighs away from you, thighs towards you. Keeping the shoulders, the palms, the wrists, the ribs very still. Now it doesn't matter how far away you take the legs. You can take the legs maybe 1 inch away and then 1 inch towards you. And then maybe 2 inches away and then right back. And you decide how much to do. What's important here is that the upper body does not move. And that you're not feeling pain in your lower back. If you are, you reduce what you're doing. So the heels can be extremely close to the buttocks. This would be the easiest option. The shins can be parallel to the ground. This would be more difficult. The load, or how heavy the legs feel, how much work the abdomen and the lower back have to do will increase here. And then the last option, if it's feeling really good, is to do both legs straight. And again, this one will be significantly more difficult, so you want to be slow about how much you increase the range. You don't want to rush. Upper body remains very still. Never forcing. Keep the shoulders still. Keep the legs together. Spread your toes. Legs lowering, legs lifting. Two more, just like that. bending knees completely. Either resting feet on floor, flipping block higher and hanging out, or lifting one foot, lifting the other, keeping the knees bent, or hanging out with straight legs. These are all really nice options. Abdomen expanding, abdomen contracting. Good, now from here we're gonna lift 3 times. Lift, come down, lift, come down, lift, flip it lower. And then low height once again. We've got 2 more exercises. These ones we'll do in conjunction, and then we'll follow it with 1 more bridge pose. And a twist. You're gonna lift your feet. Knees point directly towards ceiling for this one. Try not to have your knees pointing overhead. You wanna think thighs away from you until your knees point straight up. Shins lift, shins lower, shins lift, shins lower. And here you can progressively go higher and higher depending on how it feels. Abdomen drawing toward the floor. Eventually allowing the legs to straighten if that feels available to you. Do not force your knee joints. Listen to how they feel. If you wanted to make this one more difficult, you could add a block between the thighs and a block between the feet. If you wanted to make it easier, you could do it with your legs apart. You could even do one leg and then the other. You could even do one foot on the floor, other foot on the floor. And these are all ways to change the position to make it a little easier, a little harder, based on what you need on that given day. Let's see if we can do 5 more. Good. And then bend your knees, heels nice and close to buttocks, knees still pointing up to ceiling. Try not to let them point away or overhead. Bring the knees apart, try to touch the soles of the feet, and then knees come back together. Soles of the feet touch as the knees come wide, inner edges of knees and feet touching. Knees apart, knees together. Five more. Good, and then knees come together, bringing one foot and then the other foot to the floor. Now we'll lift up 3 times to remove the block. Lift, come down, lift, come down, lift, remove. Press into the arms, lower the spine slowly. Once you're all the way there, block between thighs. Feet as wide as hips, press into palms, shoulders, fingers, keep your gaze at the ceiling. And slowly lift your spine 1 disc at a time. Think about squeezing the thighs towards the block. Think about lengthening the flesh of the buttocks towards the heels. Draw the front ribs together and root them down. Spread the toes and lift them. 10 more breaths. Lower your spine very slowly, lowering the upper back, the mid back, the lower back, one disc at a time. Once you've completely lowered, placing your block beside you, straightening out the legs is a great option. Another option is to take the bent knees from side to side, or to hug the legs, maybe making some circles. Go the other way if you're making circles. And then stop with the circles, bring the feet to the floor, we'll take a twist. Stretch the arms out wide, palms facing in line with shoulders. Push into your feet, lift your hips, take them to your right, cross your right leg on top, and then slowly bring your knees toward your left. Now you might find the right shoulder lifts. If that's the case, bend your left elbow, walk your left shoulder, left elbow toward the left a little bit more, and then extending the arm. Or if you don't have as much space, you can do a 90-degree angle bend in the elbow. That's also quite nice. Elbows in line with shoulders, or straight arms. Think front ribs drawing together and rooting back. Think right hip bone farther away from right armpit. Thighs squeeze together, thighs pull apart. Active ankles. Think about pressing into the elbows and lengthening the wrists away from the shoulders. Pull the femurs into the hip sockets more deeply if you can. And then slowly fire up those legs, bring them back to center, uncross, straighten out the spine. Now push into your feet, lift your hips, take them to your left, crossing left leg on top, and the leg crossing is optional at any time. You can uncross for less sensation, less effort, right? Think about taking left hip bone away from you, lower abdomen toward lower back as you slowly bring your knees toward your right side. And you can support the knees at any time too. Having a block really close to your hip there will reduce what you feel significantly. If your left shoulder lifts or you just want a little bit more, you can walk your right elbow, right shoulder, and eventually your head to the right a little bit more, and then go ahead and extend those arms. Gazing up at the ceiling for this one. Think about squeezing the thighs together, pulling the thighs apart, pulling femurs into pelvis, lengthening elbows away from shoulders. Active fingers. Think about spreading all of the digits with a slight bend in the knuckles. Lengthening the back of the neck, broadening collarbones, broadening shoulder blades. And firing up the legs, coming back to center once you're there, straightening out spine, uncrossing legs. And then from here, feet as wide as hips, right ankle to left knee, foot flexed, lengthening right inner groin to right inner knee, and thinking about taking that right inner groin farther away from you. You're still pulling the femurs into the hip sockets, arms extended, gaze at the ceiling, keep that right leg away from you as you slowly bring your right foot towards your left, and you lift your outer right heel, or outer left heel, pardon me. You can walk your left elbow, left shoulder to the left a little bit if you fancy, either doing a 90-degree angle bend or a straight arm, whatever suits you more. Active fingers either way. Concentrate on your breathing. Try to find the outer trochanter's to increase what you feel in the hips. then slowly coming back to center, straightening out spine. Drawing the right knee toward your navel, open up the back of the knee, bring your foot to the floor. Now, bringing your left ankle to your right knee, foot flexed. Extending arms, lengthening left inner groin to left inner knee. Pull the femurs into the pelvis, find a neutral pelvis, and then slowly take your left foot towards your right this time. And your foot will likely hover, but if it touches the floor, you push it into the floor. If you want more, you can walk your right elbow, right shoulder, and eventually your head to the right more. Extending the arms, palms face up, drawing lower abdomen toward lower back as you keep lengthening. And you can lift the toes of the foot or have them down as long as they're active. Outer right heel lifts a little. Think of the trochanter's, think of the femurs, think neutral pelvis. Deep breaths. Slowly bringing the legs back to center, straightening out your spine. Drawing the left knee towards you, open up the back of the knee, bring your foot to the floor. And then just give your legs one more little hug. Bring your feet to the floor. Extending your legs and resting in your Shavasana. I like to bend my knees, roll my thighs out a little bit, think baby toes toward the floor as I straighten the legs. I like to press into my elbows, roll my shoulders under, lift my chest a little, and then flip my palms up towards the ceiling, squeezing and relaxing the fingers a few times. Lifting the head, lengthening the back of the neck, and resting the neck and head here. Closing the eyes, concentrating on being as still as you can be. And please stay as long as you like in your Shavasana.